As tensions between India and Canada ratchet up after Prime Minister Justin Trudeau alleged that India was involved in the death of a Canadian Sikh leader, Hardeep Singh Nijjar, on Canadian soil. Where is the U.S. in all of this? We just spoke to Jerry Butts, who believed that the U.S. had stood up in the form of National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan yesterday. Let's bring in Charles Myers. He's chairman and founder at Signum Global. It's his job to put politics and markets together, figure out what it all means. Charles, thanks so much for being with us. This is quite sort of uncharted territory when you look at this rift between Canada and India and the way that it's ensnared the U.S. How are you thinking about it?
Yeah, look, I think it is unusual because India and Canada have enjoyed a very good relationship for a long time. I think, first to say that for Prime Minister Trudeau to even make these allegations public, he has to have very good intel and evidence, given how serious the allegation is. And if true, it is an example of state-sponsored terrorism on Canadian soil. He's absolutely right to call them out, call out India on this. In terms of your question on the U.S., though, the United States, aside from condemning or at least saying that they shouldn't have done this, I think is going to try to stay out of this. As you know, back in June, the White House really prepared the most elaborate state visit and state welcome for Prime Minister Modi of India. We're doing everything we can to engage with India to try to help outcompete China. And I don't think the United States is going to get too involved.
I mean, we keep doing this, right? We keep overlooking things because of a big market. We sort of did that with China, and we thought, well, if we embrace them, maybe capitalism, free markets will go to that country. And here we are in a situation where it looks like we're just moving in the opposite direction. So now we turn to India, and maybe we'll look away at a few other things in favor because it's got a big growing market.
Oh, absolutely. Developed democracies and developed capitalist countries like yours and the United States tend to turn a blind eye to these things over time because of how big the trade relationship is, because of how big each other's markets are. And I think that this one, aside from some of the diplomatic expulsions that we're seeing on both sides between India and Canada, as well as some ongoing tension, unfortunately, the free trade deal between Canada and India has been put on hold temporarily. But I think, as with most of these things, it will blow over because it is in the economic interest of both countries. I'm not saying that's the right thing, but that is typically what happens.
Well, this is just one of the files that the U.S. is sort of contending with right now, maybe a little bit more in the background for them. There's a couple of maybe pressing things. One is coming out of the strike action today. It is expanding in the United States. Calls for President Joe Biden to join on the picket line. Another sort of quandary that Biden finds himself in. How does this play out?
Yeah, look, I think the auto worker strike was a long way in coming. I do think the Biden administration could have done a better job at trying to head that off or try to help as an intermediary. Biden has publicly been supportive of the strike. He is very pro-labor, but I don't see him joining the picket line. But again, the timing of this is not great for the Biden administration because they're also dealing with a potential government shutdown, and they're also trying to run for re-election. So the timing of the strike, I would argue, for the unions is very good. For the administration, not so good.
How do you love to put these probabilities around these government events, government shutdown, and impact to the markets? How are you handicapping it these days?
I think the possibility of going into government shutdown on October 1st is about 99%. Unfortunately, Speaker McCarthy is in a very tough spot. No one envies him. Trying to negotiate with the Freedom Caucus on the far right in the House for him is going to be, as it's proving to be, very difficult. I think we do go into a shutdown. Unfortunately, it might be longer than usual. The longest in history in the U.S. has been 35 days under President Trump. We'll see how this one plays out, but I think we're going into shutdown October 1st.
So it's interesting because there was a lot of concerns about the debt ceiling, too, and the ability to manage with the Freedom Caucus, and ultimately they got it done.
Oh, absolutely. So Speaker McCarthy, to his credit, is trying to do the right thing, which is to keep the government open. But unfortunately, it's about 8 members of the Freedom Caucus that are insisting on poison pills in the continuing resolution to make it impossible. So what McCarthy has to do is make a choice like he did with the debt ceiling, where he did the right thing. He has to make a choice. Will he bring a clean continuing resolution to the floor to keep the government funded? or will he cave to the far right this time? He didn't do it under the debt ceiling. He did the right thing. We'll see if he caves this time. I think in this case, he probably has to cave to the far right. That's why I think we go into shutdown.
So there's a lot to manage here, a lot of potential downside risk. But as you pointed out, an election year. We're coming up to an election year, and the market tends to behave in a very specific way when we are leading up to an election, because the government is aware that they are trying to get reelected. So all sorts of wonderful things start to come out. How are you thinking about that interplay between election year and ultimately what it means for the markets?
So you're absolutely right. You know, in any election year, any government, governments do the most they can, whether it's fiscal or other, to try to ensure they get reelected. In this case, with divided government in the U.S., divided Congress, there will be no new fiscal. But the good news for the Biden administration is last year, when the Democrats controlled both chambers, they approved over $750 billion of spending between the CHIPS Act, Inflation Reduction Act, and infrastructure bill. And that money just started flowing in January of this year and accelerates into next year. So I think on the fiscal front and potentially the economy, we have a pretty good setup for the current administration or the Biden team going into November of next year.
All right, Charles.